Here are 10 things that you may not know that you should be doing before and during the mortgage process. Number 1, pre-approved versus pre-qualified. Guys, I've talked about this a million times. A pre-qualified letter or pre-qualification letter is not the same. It doesn't have the same value. People are like, oh, I'm pre-qualified, I know my stuff. But the reality is you may not. You don't know all your details. You forget what bills you have. You forget your credit cards. Your credit that you thought was 780 is a 680. That changes everything. Get a full pre-approval letter. Pull up your credit, whether it's a hard pull or soft pull. Provide your income documentation. Provide your asset documentation. Talk about these things with your lender to stop and make sure that you don't have any issues when you get to the closing table. Okay, I can give you a story. A realtor partner of mine called me and they were in process on a home and the client cannot get approved on the mortgage any longer. They submitted their offer with a pre-qualification letter, not a pre-approval letter, and everybody missed it. Okay, we're like, oh, what's the big deal? Well, now they're in process and the client has to provide these documents. Well, the client was lying, but let's just say they didn't calculate their income correctly. The amount of money that they thought they were earning was actually a little bit different, or how they were paid. They thought it was, more overtime than it actually was. So that being said, that lender, that loan officer didn't take the proper time to get them fully pre-approved. And then by the time they got into a house, now the bad news comes and everybody's pivoting, trying to make it work. That client, long story short, ended up losing the home and lost her earnest money deposit because she was in contract and at that point couldn't get out of it and had to fork over that earnest money, which can be thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars. Number 2, be financially transparent. What do I mean by this? When your lender asks you how much money you have, give them the real number. Don't just give them some garbage, arbitrary number. I got 10,000. I got 20,000. When you really have 150,000. Or if you really have 10,000, don't tell them you got 25. Be transparent. If you're searching for a job, changing jobs, in between jobs, let us know. Because if you're hiding things and we don't know about it, or if you're not expressing things the best way, how are we supposed to give you the best advice as professionals? You go to the doctor and they ask you what's wrong or what are your symptoms, and you give them the wrong symptoms. You have a cough, but you tell them you got a runny nose. You're not sleeping at night, but you tell them you're wide awake. That doesn't help you. That doesn't help your diagnosis or the plan to get you to your end goal. There's nothing that makes me more mad than a client that wants to be super secretive when I ask them questions. It seems to come around assets. You ask a client how much money they have set aside for closing, and they're just super nervous to tell you. My biggest pet peeve is they say, I have enough. Well, what does that mean, Jim, right? I get it. You have to put up some money aside, but where is the money? Is it cash under your bed? Is it in your checking account? Are you getting a gift from family or friends? We need to know where the money comes from, so be transparent. Let us know. And Jim is just an example, guys. I don't have any problem client saying Jim at the moment, but just wanted to let you guys know. Number 3, keep your credit and be credit stable. What do I mean by this? Don't open up any credit cards when you're thinking about buying a house. Don't buy a car when you're thinking about buying a house. Don't make any big credit moves while you're in the mortgage process or getting to the mortgage process. The more boring your credit report is, the better. Okay, you'll have less problems and less questions throughout. At the same time, if you have anything on your credit, get it cleared up. You got an old charge off, an old late payment, an old past due balance. Get those things cleared up so when it does time to get into contract, your credit is clean, stable, and where you want it to be. Number 4, and this is towards your assets, okay? Be asset stable. What do I mean by that? If you have the cash to close now, right, set aside, keep it aside. Don't use it, don't play with it. Leave it in your account consistently. We need to show typically a 2-month seasoning. What does that mean? Is we want to see your bank account or asset statements for at least 2 months prior to you purchasing a home or refinancing a home, whatever loan you're getting. They want to make sure that money has been there. It's been sitting in your account and ready to go. So make sure you're not messing around with that money. Keep your assets clean. Or make sure you know where the assets are coming from. If you're getting a gift from grandma, no problem. Just make sure grandma's got it. Make sure she has it ready. Make sure it's available. You don't want to be in process and then all of a sudden you found out, grandma spent all the money at the casino and next thing you know, you're not buying a house. Keep that in consideration. Here's number 5, be employment stable. If you have a history of bouncing around jobs, sometimes that could be a problem, especially if they're in different industries. One day you make pizzas, the next day you drive a truck, a week later you're a CPA. That doesn't look good when it comes to your qualification. You don't look stable. And when at the end of the day, we're trying to convince a bank and we're trying to let a bank know that we need to borrow money. They want to make sure you have the ability to repay it back. So if you're bouncing around jobs, try and stop. Stick at a job for a few months. Keep it clean. Get the deposits regular in your account so we can use that income. Don't get me wrong. If a really good opportunity arises and it makes sense for you to jump and take that opportunity at a better paying job, take it. Don't not take it. But at the same time, make sure you're not having yo-yo income, your commission one day, salary the next day, hourly the day after that. They need to have some type of stability in regards to your income. And if you're self-employed, just make sure your 2-year history is clean. That's what we really go off of for self-employed clients, the 2-year history on your tax returns. So if you're in a situation to where, your 2023 tax returns are really good and 2024 is really really, really bad, well, that may change your qualification, but we need to know. We need to see what makes sense, what you can qualify for, and what you can use. So stay employment stable, stay income stable. Number 6, and here's a big one, stay credit conscious. What do I mean by this? Don't take out a bunch of debt. Don't overspend on your credit cards. Keep yourself in a situation to where your utilization is low, so to keep your credit score up so that you can continue to do things and continue to potentially purchase and apply for a mortgage. What may happen is if you take on any additional debt or rack up your credit cards, or God forbid, miss a payment in that time, it's going to change your qualification drastically. Think about it this way. If your credit card is maxed out, that's going to negatively affect your credit. Now, let's say your credit drops from a 705 to a 690. It may not sound like a lot, but that changes your entire loan structure and your eligibility. So keep credit conscious. Make sure you're making your payments on time. You're not overusing your credit cards in debt and not over leveraging yourself. But when the time comes to purchase a home, again, you're ready. Number 7, and I've said this a million times, be budget conscious. Just because I hand you a pre-approval that says you can buy up to $400,000 doesn't mean you should buy a house at $399,900 or $400,000. Take your budget into consideration. What do I mean by that? You do not want to forget how much debt or how many things you pay on a monthly basis, and people do. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Disney Plus, you got Apple Music, you got Spotify, whatever it is. Those things add up. You like to go out with your family and go out to eat. Well, that adds up. Now you're going to add in a mortgage payment of $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month into your mix. That's going to change your budget. People think, oh, I'm approved for this much, but that pre-approval doesn't take into consideration those types of debts. It doesn't take into consideration your baseball card hobby that you just picked up. All of that thing makes a difference. You do not want to buy a home and be what we call house poor. Let me give you an example. I had a client who's pre-approved for up to $500,000. He puts himself in a situation, and I told him, let's call him Mike for the sake of the story. I said, Mike, you can buy for this much, but you're not going to be able to afford to eat after this, right? Because we qualify you based upon your gross monthly income. Well, his gross monthly income allowed him for a $500,000 purchase. Long story short, Mike purchases the home anyway, okay? Against my advice, he purchased the home anyway. His wife liked it, so on and so forth. I promise you, not even 2 months later, the guy calls me desperate. He's taken out a bunch of debt because now he has to furnish this house. He can't take his family out to eat anymore because they don't have any more money. He's in a situation where he bought too much home for what he's comfortable with. The poor guy had to get a second job just to maintain a similar lifestyle to he had prior. So now he went from working 40 to 50 hours a week to working 60 to 70 hours a week to live the same lifestyle because he had to buy the bigger house. He had to push his pre-approval. He had to push his purchase price to the very limit. And I don't want that to happen for you. Give me a call. Let's take a look at this. Let's be strategic on your finances so that you're not putting yourself in a situation that you're going to regret later just because you got the bigger house. Number 8, when you purchase a home, you're going to get an inspection, or at least you should. Be inspection focused. Don't let emotion take control. If the house has got a bad roof, if it's got a foundation issue, if the kitchen's going to need to be gutted, take those into consideration. I get it. You love the house. You love the neighborhood. You love the schools. Sure, your daughter already picked out her room. Great. But the reality is this is still a financial decision, not just an emotional one. So take your inspection very, very seriously. If you got a gas leak, what's something that happens here in Michigan? We have radon. So certain areas, if you have a radon leak, that's a very, very high exposure to potentially cancer. If you don't take these things seriously, they can cost you tons of money, tons of headache. Okay, I get it. You're going to be sad if you walk away, but I promise you're going to be 10 times happier avoiding all the issues. I've had clients who waived appraisals a week after buying a house. They're in a situation the basement flooded. Well, you waived your appraisal. You can't go after the seller. You can't go after the listing agent. Nothing. You waived your right to an inspection, and now this is what happened. Don't let that happen to you. This is a very, very big financial decision. Treat it that way. Be inspection focused, not emotion focused. Number 9, here's something I tell my clients in the beginning. We can only move as fast as you are. So let's say now we are in process. We're going to submit your documents to the underwriter. That underwriter is going to review your documents, and they may or may not ask for additional documentation. Whether it's a clarification, whether it's additional document, like one of the pages were cut off, whatever it may be, we can only move as fast as you. So be responsive. And I know things come up and you're busy, but you're buying a house. Take it seriously. If I request a document on Monday, it's more than likely for 99.9% of transactions is going to be something that you have access to. Making a phone call, logging in, or whatever it may be, you have access to it. This shouldn't be something that takes you days or weeks to get. And I understand some things are off the cuff or from an old employer, sure. But if you're adamant, you can make it happen. Be responsive. Our average clear to close time is between 8 and 11 days, okay? But we set that expectation. We want your documentations up front, and if we get a request something, we really want it back within 24 hours. It's annoying, and our clients sometimes get frustrated, but I always say, hey, hate me during the process, but you're gonna love me when you're at that closing table. So be responsive. Answer or plan ahead in regards to your documentation. Keep that in consideration. And lastly, number 10, be patient and be coachable. we're gonna tell you things. Hey, do things this way. Hey, make sure you pay your bills on time. Hey, make sure you don't bounce around jobs. Hey, make sure your money is sitting there. Hey, do things this, and this way. And that's because we've been doing this for years. We've been doing hundreds, if not thousands of transactions, helping families all over the country. This is important. If I give you advice, we're your professional. Just like your doctor. You go to the doctor and you whatever he tells you, you do. It's the same thing. We're not gonna tell you to, go play in traffic. So be coachable, be patient. Everything happens in a timeline, and we keep things organized, and we try to keep things moving forward through the path of least resistance, okay? So be coachable. And lastly, here's a bonus tip. You may hear this all the time, but don't make any large purchases in process, especially in process. I know you're buying a new house. Well, you don't need to get the new car until after you close, okay? Because all of a sudden, Mr. Johnson was driving, he wants to buy his wife a Corvette while they're in process. Well, now they no longer qualify for the home that they wanted. And now they have a car and no house, and not even a big enough car to sleep in. So take that into consideration. No large purchases. Don't spend a ton of money on furniture or take out a ton of debt on 0% financing to furnish this big house. Wait till after you close so it doesn't affect and may not change your qualification. People say that all the time, but I can't say it enough. Be mindful of what happens while you're in process. You want to be as boring as possible. Okay, guys? Hope that helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You guys know I'm always here. Take a look at this video up here. I'm trying to drop as much content and value to you guys as I can. God bless, and talk to you soon. So I'm going through some documentation, and a lot of times we get asked about what fees are associated with my loan. So I want to kind of go over that, essentially section by section. When you are purchasing a home,